Once again, I'm trying to answer some questions that were sent in, where we're going to try to answer them at the Masculine Soul Conference, but because of time, we weren't able to get to them, so we're trying to provide this as a little service to try to really work on those questions. Here's a question that's probably what you would call a hot-button cultural question, and the question goes this way. It says, I have close friends who are involved in homosexuality and alternative lifestyles. How can I balance disagreeing yet still loving the person while not coming across as a hypocrite and therefore making them hate me? I certainly have my own flaws. So once again, I have close friends who are involved in homosexuality and alternative lifestyles. How can I balance disagreeing yet still loving a person while not coming across as a hypocrite, making them hate me? Well, first, this is kind of a hard one to kind of truncate down to 3 or 4 minutes. I think sometimes we really get bent out of shape in terms of how we treat and act towards somebody who is in blatant sin. And we tend to think that a particular sin will dictate how we act toward them. And I think to a degree that is true. On the other part, there's ways that we always act toward anybody, regardless of what they're going through, regardless of what they're saying. And so I would say, first of all, to this person, number one, you always got to remember that no matter who the person is or what they're doing or what they're saying, the one thing they do have is they have been created in the image of God. They have been created in the image of God. And so therefore they do have a dignity that no other created entity in the world has. And we can read that from Genesis. Only humans are created, in his image. So therefore, that's going to govern in many ways, from a macro perspective, how I act toward them. And so, therefore, I'm going to try to be as best that when I am with them, I'm going to try to be kind. I am going to try to be a good listener. I'm asking the Lord to give me a love for them. I'm asking the Lord to break my heart over what's going on in their life. And remember, for instance, homosexuality or the phrase alternative lifestyles, those are behavior. Those are behavior. They may feel like it's the deepest part of who they are, but the truth is it's not the deepest part of who they are. The deepest part of who they are is, again, made in the image of God. So our problem in life is not volitional, behavioral. It's what theologians call doxological, where you and I were created as image to worship him, to make much of him, but sin has broken that. And so I want to do my best to get to issues even deeper than necessarily their homosexuality. Now, I'm not passing that off. I'm not making light of that, but I want to talk about root. I want to get to root issues. They will feel like it's a root issue. And my experience has been that's pretty much true through the whole conversation, but it isn't. It's being utterly broken up with God, estranged from him. Irregardless of how we're acting out in terms of our sexuality. The other thing that I would say in terms of how we come alongside the issues without coming across hypocritical or making them hate me, well, I would say to this person, you could be the most loving person in the world and be a good listener, and let's say, but yet not compromising your lifestyle, not compromising the truth of the Bible, and they will still hate you. I mean, the scriptures do say they will hate you. Literally, the phrase is, the world will hate you. And so therefore, gospel people, the gospel runs so counter against the stream of culture in the world that it produces a hate and it produces a division. I would say to this person that the fear of them hating me you really have to cast into the wind in many ways, because if that is a driver for you, it will impact how you love and what you say and how you act toward that person. And Jesus said this: do not fear those who can maim or kill the body, but fear the one who has the power to throw you into hell. And so therefore, ultimately, we need to have a fear of the Lord, a reverence, a ultimate respect and honor toward him. And also, in terms of how do I not come across as a hypocrite, and maybe I'm just kind of warped in my thinking here, I already assume I'm a hypocrite. In other words, a hypocrite is not living up to what they say they believe. And I believe with all my heart about the deity of Jesus, his death and his resurrection, and his person and his work on behalf of sinners to redeem them for his glory. And therefore, I am called to be little Christ. I'm in Christ, and I'm to image Christ. But I will tell you this. I mean, there's a veneer of hypocrisy every day because I fall short every day. But I think this is important regarding to the culture of homosexuality and alternative lifestyles. I'm not talking as a person who is not a hypocrite. I really want to talk about a person who never was a hypocrite. There's only one being that's ever existed that had no hypocrisy in any part of his life, and that was the person of Jesus. So therefore, because of his non-hypocrisy, we could talk about our hypocrisy. And so, because you're right, sometimes people want to use hypocrisy as a scapegoat to not talk about fundamental issues. And that takes that right out, because like, duh, we kind of know that. So we both have a need for something. You're trying to fulfill that need through the conduit of homosexuality, alternative lifestyles. Somebody else will try to fill that need through the conduit of money and the American dream and materialism. Some other people might try to fill that need through marriage, where their spouse is their Lord. So, I mean, there's all kinds of ways that we try to fill that, but only Jesus is the one that satisfies.